up to Orange, California, just up the road a little bit from San Diego. We found a 69 Charger that we think we like. Found it on classiccars.com for, I think he was asking 95 or 96 on Classic Cars. And then we saw the same car go up on eBay and it didn't hit the reserve. And I think the bidding went up to 60-ish. I want to say it might have been 60 flat, but it definitely wasn't 90 something. And so I contacted the seller. It was a nice guy named Jeff, and we're on our way up to see it right now. This car is supposedly all built and all done. This guy's put a bunch of money into it and done a bunch of RestoMods stuff to it. He's got a period correct 440 in it that I guess has been bored and stroked, and I don't know what it's been bored and stroked to. But he claims it's doing roughly 500 horsepower at the crank. I know that, you know, the actual engine looked really pretty, like it had a bunch of chrome on it. The air intakes are all super fancy. You saw it. What did you think of that thing?
Yeah, it did look really dressed up, and if we're lucky, he'll have some documentation of the engine build. Sometimes guys keep receipts from machine shops, and you can really see what's going on internally on a motor. You know, if they spent money on all the good parts to make something pretty bulletproof at that power level, you kind of want to see some upgrades on the internal side of the engine.
Yeah, hopefully we can drive it. I think that'll be
always best case scenario to get behind the wheel, feel it out, and see how well sorted out a car is. Once a car is heavily modified, you want to make sure that all the aftermarket parts are working good together. That's a big thing, you know.
What we're really trying to do is avoid like any huge problems. There's little stuff that we can fix here and there, but
yeah,
we want to avoid like, oh, hey, the whole right side of this car is all Bondo, or you know, things like that.
Yeah, the major components, you know, drivetrain, and then the condition of the body. You know, once a car's been repainted and stuff, you want to make sure they did it right. You don't want to find later on down the road that somebody hid a bunch of things, you know.
Which is a lot of people's instinct. Like if you're working on a project and you've already got a bunch of money into it and you're close to the finish line, it's tempting to cut corners and just kind of get stuff done. There's a lot of things that would be a deal breaker. To me, like if the body just looks like, you know, wavy, or there's a ton of Bondo in it, it's easy to get emotional too, because like you obviously want this car, and you know, if you're in this space, in this classic car space, you're passionate about it, and so you know, you're driving in, you get those emotions and feelings. You're like, man, I really want this thing, but you got to kind of stay, like you were saying, a little more analytical, have your list of things, and try to be objective about it.
Emotions sell cars. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, when you're buying something that's as iconic as a Charger too, you know what you're looking at, and you know what you want. But yeah, like you said, it's not the only Charger in the world. It's a nice one, and we get to look at it today and hopefully go home with it. So just keep that in mind, and be a little analytical as well at the same time. Yeah.
Let's check out this Charger. I love this truck.
Yeah, that thing is really cool.
That's not small.
Well, I think the air cleaner can make it look a little bit
Yeah.
bigger than it really is.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. It looks like longhorns, like a bull's horns.
That's it. I did realize that, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. So it's got a hydraulic clutch, and
Yep. The
is the K member?
manual disc, four disc manual.
Right.
Disc, yes.
Is the K member swapped out on this?
Yeah.
The underside looks really clean. A lot of times I'm looking for if there was previous repairs, rust damage. Sometimes, you know, they'll put it right on top of an old panel. It doesn't look like that happened here, you know, which putting it right on top is not the correct way to do it. So it's one of those shortcuts sometimes that you see, but this one looks really nice, and you can see the way everything's plumbed and routed, that it is well built. You know, somebody spent a lot of time making sure all the systems were safe underneath it. So that's usually what I look for. You know, the quality of the workmanship kind of shows right away when you're under there looking at it. And
let's fire it up. Let's hear this thing. trying to not get emotional. I love this car. And actually, the blue is growing on me. I know our original plan was to switch it to black, but the more I look at this car, they've definitely put in time and money on this car. There's little things here and there that kind of worry me. Some of the fit on the panels on the back, where the bumper doesn't line up right. It just indicates that something's not lined up right, which might be as simple as an adjustment in that rear bumper, or it could be, hey, when we replaced this quarter panel, we never sized it properly, or different things like that. So that's a little bit worrying, but overall I think the drivetrain's really solid, and I can tell they put a ton of time and money into this car, so I'm trying to not love it too much. It feels snappy.
It's snappy.
I want it.
It'll do that to you.
All right, where do we need to be? Cash today.
As far as what it's going to take, I mean, I know, like I said, what he told me he has into it, and he's, you know, for him, I told him you're going to take a loss.
Yeah.
Any way you look at it. I want you guys to have the car. I think it's a cool opportunity for it to happen. But, you know, throw a number at me, and if it's too low, I'll have to make a call to him and see what gives.
I mean, just in full transparency, I'd like to be somewhere 80, 85.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's, you know, all, however you want to consider cash. Like I don't,
Yeah.
you don't have to ask anybody for that or anything like that.
Yeah. That's where I got to make a call on him, because I know he wanted his reserve, you know, at 92.
Sure.
Why don't you just tell me your ultimate bottom line, and that way I can.
Tell him 85. And you can have it today.
Is that your bottom line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to be real picky with all that stuff, just to help on our side, obviously. But
No,
it
and I
feels
think if
good. It
was-
drives good.
If it was black, you'd have sold it for 110 already.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. That's such a personalized color. That's what's making it tough for him.
He's gonna say he wants his 92, and I'm gonna say, look, you know, I don't see a line of people right here offering to pay you a ridiculous number. I mean, $85,000 in cash is a lot of money.
It's a strong amount of money for sure.
Yeah. So hopefully he takes it, and hopefully we get to take it home.
So his counter is 87.5.
88.5, is that what it is?
I think meeting in the middle is 87.5.
Oh, there you go. Did I say that out loud?
I feel like we are meeting in the middle. I think I said 80, 85 was where I was going to top out at.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'd love to be, you know, I mean, you know what we're going to do with this car. I'm going to take this car, I'm going to paint it, and that's going to cost me and this guy, taking everything off of this car,
Yeah.
taking it over. I got to write a guy a check for 10 grand.
I know how that
10, 12, 15, depending. You know, we were just having the talk, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the number's going to be higher than we think it is, and the time's going to be higher than we think it is, to get it to where we want to go.
Yeah.
And so I got to think about all that stuff too.
I know.
What did he say in
I'm
terms
just a
of?
liaison.
I understand. I'm the liaison too.
Yeah. Here, I have you on the speakerphone. His name is Chris, so go ahead.
Yeah, tell Chris, 87 is kind of my lucky number. So,
Isn't that what your
I
foot?
just like to be able to, you know, I wanted to close this like in reserve, but if you can do 87, we got ourselves a deal.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. I mean, I don't know how much Jeff shared with you. I mean, we're gonna probably have to go ahead and paint the car. So I'm looking at a lot of other expenses on the other end, and you know, trying to do here. I think I'm standing up pretty tall at 85, and then, you know, I'm kind of just now we're talking about $2,500, right? And I did my part, came up to 86. Help me out.
All right, how about 86.5? We'll call it good then. How's that? That way I can take my wife out for dinner. Okay, perfect.
That's a deal.
What's up, guys? You may have seen last week, we just purchased this beautiful 69 Dodge Charger RT. It's got a lot of great parts on it. It was just fully restored from the ground up, but now let's tear it apart.